to have Randy Koffel, Human Resources Director with Mid-Valley Hospital and Clinic. Randy will be sharing some great information about their current and future career opportunities. Before we dive in, I wanted to share how this Zoom event will work. To keep noise levels to a minimum, all microphones will be muted during the presentation. At the end of the presentation, we will have some dedicated time for questions. You will have an opportunity to share your questions through the chat feature by clicking the chat button on the bottom of your screen or by raising your hand. We will call in folks who raise their hand and enable their audio so they can ask their question. Now, it is my pleasure to turn it over to Randy Koffel, Human Resources Director with Mid-Valley Hospital and Clinic, to introduce himself and kick off our presentation. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning, thank you. And welcome everybody. My name is Randy Koffel. I'm the HR Director at Mid-Valley Hospital here in Omak, Washington. I came here about 13 years ago from Spokane and have raised two of my kids here, and my third one's still in school and should be graduating in a couple of years. So let's talk about Mid-Valley Hospital and Clinic. Mid-Valley Hospital and Clinic was established in 1966. The actual official name of our hospital is Okanagan County Public Hospital District number 3. As you can see on the left there on my screen, we have registered nurses, patient account reps, medical assistants, medical lab tech, several different positions currently open, and of course that we already have in place, people working there. So today's healthcare is changing rapidly at Mid-Valley Hospital and Clinic. We work hard to succeed and thrive when it comes to the services we provide our communities, the technology we invest in, and the talent that helps deliver that care. So let's talk about Compassionate. We have 255 employees here. Connected, we do a lot of things within the community. We try and participate at all the different events that happen, from the Okanagan County Fair to we do blood drives. We have different things we do throughout the year for our staff. And innovative, we're very innovative. We like to purchase new equipment as often as we can. Just to talk about some of the equipment that we purchased recently, back in 2016, we added a new MRI machine. So folks have an MRI machine that's stationary here, so you don't have to travel down to Wenatchee or to Spokane to have an MRI. You can do it right here in Omak. We've also added some other equipment. We have a new CT scanner, which is computer tomography, and we have a digital mammography machine. All those were added within the last couple of years. So we try and be on top of everything and be basically state of the art with our equipment. Why do you want to work for us? Well, as I said, we have quite a few openings now, and several of our positions basically don't need any licensure to be employed here. For example, we have environmental services, which is basically a housekeeping department. We call it environmental services because they take care of the environment in the hospital and keep it clean. Also in our dietary department, we have what we call dietary aides, we have cooks, and then of course we have all the licensed positions like registered nurses, radiology techs, medical lab technicians, ultrasound techs, etc. This is kind of a recent posting, some of our recent postings. One of the things we started to offer, because we have hard to fill positions, very, very difficult right now to find registered nurses with the pandemic going on, to even come here to be a traveler, so to speak. Travelers are people that don't get employed by us, they're a contracted employee. But so we started offering sign-on bonuses. As you can see there, we have basically up to $5,000 of a sign-on bonus for like a registered nurse. We also do sign-on bonus for medical lab technicians and ultrasound techs and respiratory therapists. So we have several different options for sign-on bonuses and several different positions open. Some of the benefits we offer, we have a pretty decent compensation package. We have vacation time, sick leave time, life insurance paid for by the company, a profit sharing plan, which is a contribution from the company on your behalf. And then we also offer a low cost out-of-pocket premium for medical, dental, and vision insurance. You also have the option to do a 403B, which is a after-tax, or excuse me, pre-tax basis, where you can invest your money into a 403B plan before you're taxed on it. It's basically for retirement in the future, and of course you take it out before you tax, so it lowers your tax income bracket. Of course, sign-on bonuses are available for several positions, as I stated. I'd like to kind of focus on the job training that we have available right now. We basically allow employees to have tuition reimbursement for the CNA program offered at Wenatchee Valley College. We actually have a person going through that right now. Of course, they graduate from that class, and then they get their licensure, and then they commit to at least a year with us. Otherwise, we may require them to pay it back. But it's a good opportunity for people to take a next step in their career and become a CNA. We also have an option to do a medical apprenticeship program for medical assistants. And it's offered through a program out of, I believe, the Yakima area. And of course, those folks are in an apprenticeship program for a year, and then they can sit for the exam to become a medical assistant in the state of Washington. It does require licensure, just like the CNA, you have to be licensed. But we have 2 individuals going through that medical assistant apprenticeship program right now. And the medical assistant apprenticeship program is nice because while you're an apprentice, you get paid. So you can be paid while you're learning a new skill, which is very beneficial for our staff who wanted to do that to continue to be paid. We have a lot of peer-to-peer department training, continuing education credit opportunities. And then of course, like I said, on-the-job training for some positions like environmental services and dietary. Lots of opportunities to grow based on these different options we have for the tuition reimbursement in the CNA program and the medical assistant apprenticeship program. So if you'd like to join our team, we have all of our positions posted on our website, which is mvhealth.org. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly, and I'll share my contact information in the chat room here shortly. All right, I'll turn it over to Christy.
Great, thank you so much, Randy. Now it is time for us to open it up for questions. Please feel free to type any questions that you have in the chat box or unmute yourself and ask away. We are also live on YouTube, so if you have any questions, if anybody is joining us live on YouTube, please just throw your questions into the comment section and we will address those as they come up. Randy, while we're waiting for some questions to come in, I do have one question related to like high school students. Do you have any advice for someone who is a high school senior right now and is interested in pursuing a career in healthcare but doesn't quite know what they might be interested in? Do you have advice for like how Mid-Valley Hospital might be able to help someone explore what different opportunities would be available to them?
Yeah, we actually have basically a job shadow program here if they're interested in doing that. We have an application they'd have to submit, of course, to the HR department, and then we have a few background checks, things we have to do before they can come on site. But if they're thinking about healthcare and they want to kind of experience one of the fields that we have to offer here or in any healthcare, they can be an observer and they can come in and job shadow somebody. We kind of taper that off because of the pandemic, of course, and we haven't quite opened it up yet, but I'm sure we're going to open up before the end of the summer and allow students or our kids, children to come back into the workplace and do the job shadowing.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Some other advice I would give is if they're really interested in healthcare, some of the highly needed places are radiology. So radiology techs, a lot of these are just 2-year programs at community colleges. Wenatchee Valley College has a radiology technician program. They also have an MLT program, which is a medical laboratory technician. And they basically spend time in the lab, doing all those blood draws and all those tests with blood and other bodily fluids. So those are 2 areas that are in high need right now, and I expect them to be in high need for the next couple of years as we've struggled to find staff to fill open positions. So radiology and medical lab are 2 areas that are very highly needed right now.
And can you tell us if are those programs through Wenatchee Valley College offered locally in OMAC, or would someone have to travel to Wenatchee for them?
Yeah, most of the time, they sometimes have some of their classes here in OMAC, but the majority of things take place in Wenatchee. MLTs have to do clinical preceptorships where they go into do their clinicals in a facility. So we've had students come to our lab to do their clinicals. So if you're from OMAC and you wanted to do the Wenatchee Valley College thing, you'd probably have to travel to Wenatchee to do a lot of the classes. But then, of course, you can do your clinicals, either here at our hospital or at Three Rivers Hospital in Brewster, or even Tonasket North Valley Hospital can do clinicals.
Perfect. And then I have one other just follow-up question to that. Do you have current employees that are working in one role but maybe have a goal of becoming like a radiology technician or an MLT and are going to school at the same time as working at Mid-Valley?
The only current one I know of is we have a environmental services technician going to the CNA program. So they're in the CNA program here at Wenatchee Valley College because they wanted to step up and be a CNA.
So we have one question in the chat. What type of experience or training is required for the maintenance worker?
The maintenance worker, we usually want to have some sort of mechanical background. We prefer somebody that has HVAC background, but that's not necessary. That's something we can train. But somebody that's worked with power tools and kind of has that mechanical inclination to do things, mechanically inclined. Because a lot of our stuff around here is changing out light bulbs, changing out filters, basically taking care of the grounds outside. So not a lot of experience is needed, but having that being mechanically inclined is very, I guess, very much needed.
So we have another question. I hear, hold on a sec, that just slowed down. I hear that a career in radiology is a great paying job. Is this true? And do you have an opening in this department with a starting wage that you can share to give us an idea of what it pays?
Yeah, we do have a current opening for rad tech. And yes, the starting wage is about 20 something an hour. It is a 2-year program through the community colleges. Just looking it up here real quick, I apologize. So actually it starts out at $24.18 an hour. So right out of school, you'd be making $24.18 an hour, plus all of the benefits that we offer here, of vacation time, sick leave, medical insurance, etc.
So another question we have is, do you offer on-the-job training opportunities for positions other than the CNA and medical assistant?
The dietary department, we can train on the job. You do have to have your food handler's permit, of course. And then, of course, environmental services, we can train on the job. And to an extent, the maintenance position, as long as somebody's mechanically inclined, we can train them on the job as well. The other positions, RNs, registered nurses, rad techs, etc., they require licensure, and of course, you have to go to school to obtain that licensure.
This is just a reminder that if you have any questions that you would like to ask Randy, please feel free to type those in the chat or raise your hand, and we will unmute you. And if you are joining us on YouTube Live, just throw those questions in the comments section, and we will address those as well.
Randy, for someone that is a high schooler and is looking for a career path in healthcare, what would be something that you would consider, I guess, giving them a piece of advice for to gear them up for after high school? Like, would there be any specific classes that you would instruct them to take to prepare for, further education and that kind of thing?
Well, I think depending on the type of position they're interested in, if we look at like registered nurse or medical lab technician, they deal with patients and patients' blood samples, et cetera. So, taking those science classes like biology would be very very beneficial, of course, to learn things. I don't know all what the high schools offer in regards to, so-called health-focused classes or healthcare-focused classes. Math would be good too. You probably want to do math because the registered nurses have to do a lot of calculations on, the amount of a medicine to give somebody, and they have to calculate that out based on weight and age, etc. So yeah, I think in health care, you would want to have, a background in the sciences as well as some math.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy, I do have another question. So can you share a little bit about the benefits of working in a rural hospital or clinic versus an urban one?
Well, it's a smaller facility, of course, so you get the opportunity to pretty much know everybody you work with. There's only one floor, of course, here at our hospital. You sometimes get to wear a lot of different hats, so you may. I'll take an example in the laboratory. A lot of times in the bigger hospitals, people are going to specialize in either microbiology or the blood sampling. And here you get a well-rounded version of that, and you get to do all different aspects of laboratory work. So it's kind of nice to be kind of a jack of all trades, so to speak, and you get to learn all that. So that's a plus here. So it's not a monotonous thing where you're doing the same thing over and over every day. You get to shift around into the different areas of the lab. So that's kind of a plus. It's also the fact that it's smaller. So, you get to come to work and like I said before, well, I've said this before, we offer free parking, right? If you work in a larger facility, you're probably going to pay for parking. So yeah, I think that the plus is you're able to basically diversify yourself in the workplace and not just specialize in one area. Registered nurses usually start off in acute care or med surg and then can move into OB or ER or 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 PACU. There are different areas they can go to. And we try and cross-train people to be able to do that. So that's another plus. You don't always see that at the larger facilities. They're looking for somebody with 5 years of experience to come in to their PACU or their OR or their OB, and we have the option here to train people on the job in those specialty areas.
Thank you. I've read a lot about the benefits of starting out in rural spaces because of just what you had shared, that really the diverse experience that you get and really not being like siloed into one position and being able to get experience in a lot of different areas. So thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Do we have any other questions for Randy with Mid-Valley?
There aren't any more in that chat room right now.
All right, well, we will go ahead and move forward then. Thank you, everybody, so much for your great questions. And wanted to thank everyone for joining us today and to remind you that your local workforce staff are always here to help with any job assistance that you might have. Please reach out to us directly to schedule a one-on-one appointment if you would like any help with applying for any of these positions with Mid-Valley, or if you are interested in learning more about setting up a job shadow opportunity or on-the-job training opportunities. We are happy to help connect you. Thank you so very much. And on here on this slide is the contact information for our Wenatchee, Omak, and Central Basin offices. Next slide.
And don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel at Career Connect Washington North Central. There you can find all of the recordings for the virtual Meet the Employers, as well as career panels and other career connected learning resources.
Next slide. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you to Tammy McBride and the Apple STEM Network for your continued partnership on these events. If you are interested in attending a future Meet the Employer, Please check out the WorkSource Wall calendar, the Apple STEM Network Facebook page to register in advance. And thank you so, so much, Randy Koffel from Mid-Valley Hospital and Clinic, for sharing all of this great information today on your opportunities and how to get your foot in the door and all of your fantastic on-the-job training and job shadow resources. So thank you so much, Randy.
Thank you. You're welcome.